Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here. Super nice, super cozy, and indeed in a space that we have worked together with Bessie. Cannot imagine a better place. Anyways, we'll be looking at from quantity to quality and from good to great through the lens of workspace design. And why does this matter actually? Why should we care? So speaking of data, we have been running this survey for over 3 years. It's called the 9 Factors. It's something we sent to our clients at the beginning of our collaboration. And it has only one question. It asks, what impact is most important for you that the new office, the renewed office, will bring to you and your team? And they get to move these different factors and put on top what is most important, and then we go lower and lower. And this is kind of like the usual outcome. So as you see, we're affecting a lot of interesting areas. So with your workspace, you can help to attract and retain amazing talent. You can encourage interaction, increase flexibility, express your brand. You can enhance productivity, stimulate creativity, reduce environmental impact, support culture change if needed, and as well reduce costs. So a lot of really interesting, important things here. And indeed, that's something that really excites us because we are literally able to improve people's lives and set spaces for them where they feel great, they feel part of something bigger. And so actually, I want to quickly talk about the quality versus quantity thing, because before COVID, we spent, as we know, 1/3 of our lives at work. So the impact was really through the quantity of time we spend there. This is actually what inspired me to start working in the workspace design, because of the impact that we had through that quantity. And now after COVID, we don't go to office all that much. I don't know if you have data on that, Karim, but I would say 2 to 3 times a week could be an average. So it's really the quality that really matters. And it's the quality of the workspace that then allows you to have the quality time there with the team, and that invites them to come in there and make sure they have all they need. So it's really interesting. And on that topic, I want to dive in a little bit deeper to have a look, what is important for a good workspace, and what can we do to have it be great? What are the things we can do to have even better than good? And so this space, many of you might have seen or might know. If you don't, you can see it on one of our tours. It's just actually below us. And it used to look like this. So this is a reminder from the past. I see Francis is laughing. So this really reminds me, my design professor used to say, good design goes to heaven, bad design goes everywhere. So this is just to show bad design happens to great companies, to progressive companies, and it's because things get outdated. They no longer serve. This is not the first impression that we would like to have anymore. So huge impact there by changing the space and making it aligned with where the business and the team is going. And so indeed, just to reiterate, at the end, it's all about people. It's their lives at work and also the image that they carry with them when they're not at work. So some interesting findings there. When people look at your workspace, they will feel, okay, this is how much or how little I'm valued by the management. And as I said, they are also carrying that with them even when not in the office. So really good to make the office as good as possible. So let's get started. Let's have a look at what should be in place for a good workspace. And those are really basic things, of course. So at the same time, you would be really surprised. Not every space has all of these. I'm looking at Gorka. I have some bad memories of going to a place that had 0 oxygen, and they ask us to do something in a space, and we actually refuse the job because I'm not going to design something beautiful to bring people in somewhere where they cannot breathe. So we need air, we need good lighting, we need good ergonomics and acoustics, and thoughtful space planning. So jumping in, indeed, whenever there is not enough oxygen, our brain cells are actually dying. We're tired. This does not sound really healthy, so we don't want that for us or our colleagues. So really having a good HVAC system set up with fresh air coming in, total basic for living beings. Ergonomics, study of people in their working environment, and then arranging the environment so that they can do the work really well and smoothly without struggles. It is super important. It can be seen on furniture design as well, in where you place things, how high are different things, how reachable. When ergonomics are not done properly, you can be tired, you can even have injuries. So again, one of the big basics. Here we have a super nice example that you can as well see on one of our tours, is this amazing table we designed for Bessie. It has a lot of curves, but as you can see, there's like a lot of little numbers up there on those drawings, so everything is measured out to make sure it's ergonomically comfortable. Optimal lighting, so in the office environment, and in your home, actually, any environment where we spend time, I would start with daylight. Make sure to take advantage of the daylight that is coming in. So always we place spaces that we are using really often. We place them close to the windows so they can have a good effect on our circadian rhythm. And other than that, of course, we have many requirements for lighting in the space. I would say ideally we would have 3 layers. So we have generic lighting, we have task lighting, and we have decorative lighting. And ideally, it's all adjustable so that it can fit the different need and the type of day that you might have outside. Good acoustics. This is a topic that we hear about a lot, especially when they're bad acoustics. So in the office space, the main 2 problems that are happening are either there is sound bouncing, and it's because there is too much hard surfaces and not enough soft materials to absorb. So indeed, the solution is bring soft materials such as furnishings or carpet or specific acoustic solutions. And the second one actually has to do with privacy as well, where sounds are escaping areas that you would like to not have them escape. Like you're having a meeting and discussing something, and it's traveling outside of the meeting room. So in that case, we want to use sound blockers, and they have to go below the floor, above the ceiling, and just make sure that the sound stays where it's supposed to. And just one thing to remember that I heard from acoustical engineer, super cool, that acoustics, that sound travels the same way as water. So you can imagine if there is a little crack or whatever the weakest spot is, that's where the sound is going to come through. And last but not least, thoughtful space planning. This one is a bit of a bigger topic. It's a really cool puzzle we always work on as one of the first things once we know the needs and we see what's possible in the space. It's really, if I want to try to say it in a nutshell, is really like the right things in the right places of the right sizes with the correct, circulation around. And so, yeah, it's a lot of things to figure out. We're using a lot of creativity, experience. It's also important to separate certain spaces, like we know not to put developers next to salespeople because they both have a different way of working and they're going to drive each other crazy. So there is a lot of different things that go into creating a good space plan, but nevertheless, I would say it's the blueprint for a successful workspace project. So definitely putting a lot of good attention there is highly recommended. And when we then hop on what makes a good workspace great, we'll be looking at 5 different principles that were just put out in a really cool study by Lessman. So they had this really large, pretty interesting study where they were looking at indeed these differences. And what they identified was that between good and great, there's these 5 things. So there's spaces that actually make people be proud about being there, and they're reflecting in a really good way the image of the company. There's spaces that have privacy and that allow for concentration. We need to create spaces for community and working together, and as well overall enjoyable environment and variety of spaces. So hopping right in, pride and image. This is not exactly how we would call it at Space Refinery, but it's really related to culture and the brand and really understanding who is this company, what can we put out there that can, in a tangible way, show what are the values and what they are about. And the whole big idea is that we want people to feel part of something bigger. And it has to be something that, indeed, they're proud and it's worth it. So there is different ways to do this. It's really reflecting, basically, a bit of the soul of the company. So sometimes it's through the different colors and the different spaces and whatever is important to different companies. And there is luckily, some things that everybody likes and is proud of. So those things are plants and decor, and as well sustainability certificates. So 3 things that anyone can strive for. And then hopping on the next one, privacy and concentration. Indeed, we do a lot of concentrated work from home, but not everybody actually can, and there is absolutely a need, even from your data, showing that we need to do this quiet work, so there need to be spaces for that. And that could be, let's say, like a quiet library or kind of work pod where you can seclude yourself and you're not having some colleagues making noise around you. And for the privacy, it can be a phone booth or indeed a meeting room that actually contains the sound within. Community and working together. Super nice. I think, Francis, you mentioned some of that earlier as we were chatting here. So indeed, this idea of kitchen being the heart of your home, and we're bringing this into the office. So as well, it's such a great place to gather and to see your colleagues and then, make it nice, make it open, welcoming. If there is some good snacks, it's always a good extra. And it should be really like a multi-functional place. So you meet here, you can work here, you have events, meetings, presentations, celebrations. So really important place at the heart of the office. Of course, we want the environment to be enjoyable. And there are some universal things. So first, I will speak on the left side. We have a really cool little bench area that you can also visit in one of the tours. And basically that one is having elements of biophilic shapes and forms and as well some natural materials. We have the plants. We have actually really nice view to the outside as well. So this is something that makes the environment in general more enjoyable. And then on the right, this is a snapshot from Board of Innovation in Antwerp. This is their meditation room on a kind of tree house idea. And for them, this is great because it reflects the brand. It's what they wanted. They love going up there. It might not be enjoyable for some more serious company where people wear heels and really small suits, right? So again, it just really reflects like who is the company and what can we put in a space that reflects the culture. And last but not least, variety of spaces. So it's becoming more and more common, which is really nice that, after COVID, we are not coming to the office just to sit at one desk. Even heard from several of our clients, like, if we renovate and people come back and they actually just sit at the desk, then we have failed. Like, I want engaged office. I want people to circle around and move and use different spaces and connect with the colleagues. So this is where the variety of workspaces is really useful. Like, you need to give the choice. Like, if there is nothing else, it's actually very boring and it doesn't serve the purpose. And so when we create these different workspaces, people can choose based on the type of activity that they are doing, the kind of meeting they want to have, the mood they have, and it actually gives them a sense of freedom. So a lot more satisfaction and engagement comes from that as well. And that was it for the good and the great. We've got here a little checklist for both. So good, let's make sure we have air and light and good ergonomics and good acoustics and nice, good space planning. And then for the great, indeed, spaces that exude pride and image, that give people place to work in privacy and allow them to concentrate, community spaces, enjoyable environment, and a variety of workspaces. And so I hope with this little checklist and little presentation, you will join us on our quest of making world a better space, one workspace at a time. Thank you.